for the wonderful Kiera Chaplin.
Hi, everyone. And I wanted to say congratulations to Olga and all of the Creative Women team for their 10-year anniversary. Has anyone ever decided who you were before you had the chance to decide for yourself? A journalist, a competitor, a customer, an investor, someone who looked at what you were building and decided they already knew the story. Keep that thought, I'm going to come back to it. My name is Kiera Chaplin, and I've spent the last 30 years working in fashion, entertainment, philanthropy, and entrepreneurship. And I also just recently started a brand called Generation Spirits with my brother Spencer. I've had the privilege to be around some of the most extraordinary people, artists, entrepreneurs, and world leaders. And what I noticed every single time is this. The most successful people I've ever met were not the ones that had it all figured out from the start. They were the ones who stayed curious, who were willing to try and fail, pivot and try again. They never let one version of themselves define the final version. And realizing that changed everything for me. Growing up as Charlie Chaplin's granddaughter, the creative world was all I knew. Of course, I was drawn to it, and it opened a lot of doors. Being called the granddaughter of Charlie Chaplin when you're a grown woman, creating your own businesses, it becomes a bit of a joke. So I used it as fuel, and I rebelled. I tried to distance myself from the name entirely. I wanted people to see me, not just the legacy, not the granddaughter, just me. And I think so many of you will relate to that, the desire to be seen for who you actually are. Not the label, not the box someone else puts you in, because this is one of the most fundamental things we carry. But here's what I eventually understood. Even in my rebellion, I was still being defined by the thing I was running from. Reacting is not the same as choosing. Running in the opposite direction is still letting something outside of you decide. Not wanting to be defined by something still leaves you with a question you have to answer. If not that, then what? And my answer for a long time was, let's find out. Other than modeling, I tried acting, I tried directing. I took on projects that I was genuinely curious about. Because I've always believed in one thing, you only live once. Some worked and some really didn't. But here's what I want to say about that. Trying something and realizing it's not for you is not failure, it's information. Curiosity is not recklessness. It's the most powerful tool you have. It's a bit like dating, really. You have to put yourself out there and you have to kiss a few toads. And there is absolutely nothing to be ashamed of in that. Every toad teaches something about what you're looking for. Ray Kroc, the man behind McDonald's, was 52 years old, broke, selling milkshake machines from door to door when he found his calling. He said, "I was an overnight success, all right, but 30 years is a long, long night." And then there's my grandfather, Charlie Chaplin, who most people say is a genius. And yes, he was. But I'm going to tell you what genius sounds like up close. For the opening scene of City Lights, where his co-star had to say exactly 2 words, he made her do that scene 342 times. That's 342 takes for 2 words in a silent movie. So that's what greatness actually looks like. Not overnight, not effortless, just relentless curiosity and the refusal to settle. Which brings me to the most important thing to leave you with, narrative. Every one of you in this room is managing one right now, about your brand, your company, your vision. And the world, your competitors, the market, and sometimes even the people closest to you will try to write that narrative for you. They will reduce you to a label, decide what you are before you've had a chance to decide for yourself. Your job, and it is a job because it takes daily attention, is to make sure the story is yours. If you don't write your own story, someone else will, and they will make it about what serves them, not what is true. For me, that means speaking about my work directly and unapologetically. Not letting interviewers pivot back to my grandfather, not shrinking to fit somebody else's narrative. I was never going to outrun the Chaplin name, but I could add to it, make it my own. So make it something I was proud of. And that's when I created my best work. I created the Chaplin Awards. And what I love about that is I get to give an award, a Lifetime Achievement Award, to actors and directors in Asia and when I see their faces when they receive it, it's so heartwarming. And that's something that I created. It's not my grandfather, it's me that created that moment. Something else I'm very passionate about is building schools in Africa through the Desert Flower Foundation, which I have so lucky to be working with. The Desert Flower Foundation is, their goal is to eradicate FGM, which is female genital mutilation. Thank you. It's one of the most barbaric things that you can do to a young girl. Not only are you taking away their sexuality, you're taking away their personality, you're taking who they were going to become before they even get to find out. So breaking that cycle of poverty and silence, that is legacy. It's not in an abstract sense, but in a real, tangible, life-changing sense. And then there's Generation, the brand I built with my brother Spencer. We didn't set out to disrupt an industry. We set out to create something much simpler. Quality moments with quality drinks, between friends, between loved ones, with the kind of conversations you can only have when you slow down and put down your phone and look at the person across the table. There are three very different things, but they all come from the same place, from finally knowing who I was and what I cared about. When I think about legacy now, I no longer think about fame. And I want to say something about legacy that I think we don't hear often enough. Legacy doesn't have to be changing the world with a groundbreaking invention or a billion-dollar idea. Sometimes legacy is simply choosing to show up with more kindness to the opportunities in front of you, and most importantly, to ourselves. So, back to where we began. Has anyone ever decided who you were before you had the chance to decide for yourself? I shared my story, so I want you to think about yours, because every woman in this room is still writing that story. So tomorrow night, I hope you raise a glass of Generation and ask yourself, who are you becoming? Thank you.